Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening. I'm so glad you could join us tonight. I have a wonderful lady on the line who is kind enough to call in from Italy. We're Skyping this evening, and I believe this evening's show will come over a little bit easier than last week's. We had some tech difficulties, but as most of you know, that happens. All right, so before we dive in with my lovely guest, I'd like to share with you that I was featured in the Palm Beach Post this past Tuesday. So if you get online to the Palm Beach Post and type in Elise, E-L-I-S-E, in the search bar, you'll be able to see the article. And I believe they may even have some live video there as well. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the article and how things came out as well. Remember, the first Monday of the month, we do the Psychic Gallery, and that is in Boca Raton. You can get all that info on my website, HalleyElise.com. Okay, so without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about my wonderful guest. As I told her, when I first saw her photo, I was very taken, because she emanates all of this wonderful light. You know that she is a preservationist from the word go. You know that she's connected with the earth and she's connected with the divine. And she's a best-selling nonfiction author. And her book is The Emissary, which you really have to get a hold of. I'm going to hold it up and my producer is going to cringe, but I'm going to do it anyways. Hopefully, is it in the shot there? Wonderful. He's also going to get a really good image from the web so that you can see it clearly without me holding it up. But this is a book that you truly want to read. It is a parable of how to look after the planet. It is a parable of how to live life better. It is a thriller. It has so many wonderful components, so many intricacies that it astounds you from the first couple of pages. I mean, truly, when I first started reading, like, wow, this is great, because it was unexpected. So, the author, you would like to know her name? Okay. Her name is Patricia Corey, and so if you will, we'll bring her on. Hi, Patricia. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for that. And thank you for having me with you today.
Absolutely. So I gave a little bit of info, but I really kept it kind of a secret. And I have to ask, because one of your main characters in the book is a psychic medium. What was the impetus to put together a story that combined a mystery and a psychic and sea life and the whales and their songs? I mean, where was that inspired from?
It's inspired from my own experience of being a channel for the whales and dolphins. And that was brought forward in my last book, Before We Leave You, which is a book of channeled messages from them to the human race. And I can't help but admit that a part of me is part of that character, Jamie Hastings. Of course, she's exalted as a superhero, and I certainly don't pretend to be that. But her passion, her concern for the whales and dolphins, and her experience, a little bit is, let's say, formed of my own life experience.
That's lovely. I love when an author actually includes part of their essence in a book. I mean, it's great as far as fantasy, but I think to really get a message across, to really share, you have to put part of yourself into it. And the fact that she is so enigmatic and so dynamic, it tells me a lot about you. And I know we've just recently met on the Skype, but we should have a lot of fun in person.
For sure. But I think that one reviewer said Patricia Corey is obviously inflating herself by putting herself into the character. But other than that, grumpy review, most people do recognize a little bit of me in that character. And I'm honored for that, because I think that utilizing fiction and feeling yourself pour out of a character is a very exciting thing for a writer, as long as the character then takes her own personality, takes her own journey, which Jamie surely does in The Emissary.
Well, from what I understand, this is a trilogy. So, The Emissary, is this actually the first book? Because I know you have previous books in the marketplace, but I wasn't really clear on if The Emissary was the beginning of this trilogy or if it was part two. And then I got thinking, well, if it was part two, it probably would have said part two on the book, or there would have been a precursor.
I have 12 books already out. These are all non-fiction, and this is my first fiction. And yes, it's book one of a trilogy called The Hidden. And I'm already well on my way working on book two, which is entitled Keeper of the Crystal Skull, which is a pretty out there, I like to do out there things, and it's a pretty exciting, another level of adventure and consciousness that takes place going back to an Atlantean lifetime.
Wonderful about that is I'm familiar with Crystal Skulls and their stories, and had the opportunity to actually, if you will, play or experience a little bit of one of them that was here visiting in South Florida some time back. And in as much as you get to have fantasy, you also have an element of reality. And I find this true, and this is why I said your book is very much a parable, in the sense that you're not only sharing what could happen, you're sharing the idea that human potential still exists if we learn how to work with the planet and with the sea life. And I feel like when you introduce your second book, as much fun as it will be, I believe you'll probably have some information in there underneath, so that people get it, about taking care as well. And even if that means, if you will, protecting the soul or protecting that essence of who everyone is.
Yeah, I think that we are confronting Atlantis now on planet Earth with the situation at hand and the extreme imbalance of the ecological structure of the planet. Earthquakes, volcanoes blowing, flooding, etc. And I think that we are in some ways reliving Atlantis now. So it's very appropriate that my saga continues with the question of how and why did Atlantis go down. And of course, this is another, because this is my second fiction book, I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to unfold, but it's already full of twists and turns and some very interesting and nefarious characters, and of course, the heroic element as well.
I'm looking forward to that one. I know The Emissary really blew me away. It was probably one of the most enjoyable books that I've read in a long time that didn't have to do with something about learning, even though there was learning involved, obviously. So let's talk a little bit about it. The fact that The Emissary opens up, and before you know it, there are birds falling off from the sky and crazy things happening, and the characters going, whoa, what is all of this? What's wrong with the world? What's taking place? Why such a dramatic beginning?
Well, the book is dramatic, and the beginning, these three concurrent events that take place, are all being triggered from this strange and eerie military base in Alaska, which I have discussed in a former book called Atlantis Rising. It really exists. It's called HARP, and it is emitting some very strange, extremely low-frequency emissions. For what end, we're not sure about, but the book proposes or alludes to the fact that these three simultaneous events are triggered by this HARP facility, which sets the tone for the drama that starts to unfold in the story once the heroine moves into action. So three occur. One is hundreds of blackbirds drop dead out of the sky simultaneously. This really does occur. It has occurred earlier this year, and it occurred in Little Rock, Arkansas, I think the year before that. And at the same moment in Maine, 30,000 dead fish line the beaches of the coast, which is a pristine ocean coast. And on the other side of the planet, in New Zealand, the heroine finds herself where she's vacationing. She's getting away from her work as a psychic investigator, and ends up finding herself in the middle of this scene where 150 whales and dolphins have beached themselves on the beach and are dying. And she is compelled and propelled into, let's say, an incredible connection with these whales, particularly one, a mother who is pregnant, and she and her infant die in Jamie being the hero, almost in her arms. It's a very poignant scene.
It is, and it's interesting you speak about harp. I learned about harp, wow, I'm going to say at its onset. Friend was in the military, and I had found out about it, and it was interesting because certain studies were being done at that time, and for people who are wondering what that is, they can actually look up HAARP. Get some interesting information, especially if you read the emissary and then you take a look at the harp site. Harp site gives you a little bit of background, but it doesn't go into great detail, and I think you said it very succinctly in respect to frequencies. You know, we have positive, I shouldn't say positive, but we have higher vibration or higher frequencies and lower frequencies, and they affect the planet. They affect us as individuals. We can be surrounded by certain frequencies and all of a sudden our skin breaks out, or, you know, as you say, there's the sea life showing up on the shore. We've had a lot of incidents here in Florida as well, with whales showing up, with dolphins showing up, and people thankfully jump into action to help as best as they can. The sad part is even when they're rescued, sometimes they pass anyways. And your character, your, if you will, heroine, she is pretty amazing with how she empaths and how she is able to share information and how she gets people to pay attention. Can you share a little bit more about her and the fact that, you know, she was vacationing, but what really led her to this point? You know, what is, how can I put this so that our folks listening and watching can really understand about the book? What is the impetus for her to be so actively involved with the whale?
Well, in that moment where she's escaping from her life of being a highly touted psychic who works with corporate, she works finding wells, finding water, and a very grueling time with the LAPD. And so she's gone to New Zealand to just regroup and recover from that. And doesn't she find herself in this situation with this mass beaching? And it triggers, as she works with the whales to help them pass over to the other side, to cross the Rainbow Bridge, it triggers this enormous empathy and connection to them. And it isn't long before circumstances develop where she ends up going out on the ocean on a boat that is actually an oil research vessel. The reason being that the oil director of this organization finds out about her and says, let's get her on the boat and see if she's so good at finding water and oil, let's see if she can help us find the substrata wells so we can drill. And she agrees to do it because they promise her that will be helpful to the whales and dolphins because they won't dredge up the ocean floor like they did the disasters that have taken place, for example, in the Gulf that you're familiar with. So on the boat, and she's there to supposedly to help them find this, and immediately she opens up connection with the whales and dolphins psychically, and things start to unfold where the whales and dolphins communicate with her, and their communication is, please help us. You are our emissary. You are the one who can speak for us, and we need help because the excruciating sonar is destroying the music, which is a theme that I carry forward in all of my work. So things develop that I don't think we want to give away the whole story, but a number of situations develop rapidly, very quickly on this boat as Jamie connects with these whales and dolphins, and they tell her quite a lot about what's going on in the ocean, which is a sort of a surprise for the reader.
The interesting thing is that she puts herself into such peril because her heart is with the dolphins, her heart is with the whale. She wants to make a vast difference, and it's an exciting book. It really is, and I think anybody who likes a great story, whether they feel they're connected to the ocean or not, I find that they will truly enjoy this book because it's fast-paced. It's an easy read, and it's very descriptive. I really love. It's funny, when I write sometimes people say that I'm verbose, and I could see that you could do that a little bit as well, but again, it's very descriptive so that you feel as if you're ensconced in a film instead of in a book. But on that note, if you can hold on for just a moment, we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at halleyelise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Hi, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I have the wonderful author Patricia Corey with me. Her newest book is The Emissary, and it's spellbinding. It's something that you really want to grab a hold of. But we've been talking about the main character and the fact that she's a psychic medium and the whales and the dolphins, and we're not going to give it all away, so you're going to have to read the book. But what I want to talk about with you, Patricia, is I understand you already have a film in the works. And I can't wait till this comes out to see it on the big screen. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's in the works from the point of view that it's in development. It was picked up, I wrote the screenplay, so to my joy, the screenplay got picked up, and that means that when it goes to film, nobody can alter it except me on advice from the producers, whatever. So it won't become a Hollywood plasma type of situation. I get to still hold the integrity of the story. So yeah, it's been optioned by a producer, and they are now in development, which means finding the financing, finding the star power, and putting together a package. And it's very exciting because they're looking at A-list actors and A-list directors, and it could very well be a blockbuster film. I'm excited. Fingers crossed.
Fingers, toes, nose, the whole bit. Okay, so you're an author. You are, from what I gather, even though that you didn't use this term, but it's my field, that you're a bit of an empath as well. You obviously are very intuitive. You connect with nature. You look to preserve the sea life. You're very connected with dolphins, with whales. But you also teach on land, dry land. And I know that you have a couple of programs coming up here in the U.S. and you want to share a little bit. I believe one is in California, one's in Florida. So tell us about how somebody can get in touch to sign up for the programs, as well as what are you going to be sharing?
Right. I have been teaching DNA activation, empowerment, rewriting the cellular memory of the body, working with your own body waters to change the memory of the information in your DNA. And I've been doing this all over the world for several years, but I've been away from the United States for over 10 years. So this is my return, and I'm offering 2 workshops. They're very intensive. They're life-altering for a lot of people. And the first is being held in San Francisco on May 10th and 11th, Mother's Day. And the second is being offered in Miami, 24th and 25th, Memorial Day. So I timed that very well. But I hope that people will be drawn to come, especially because I don't know when I'll get back to the United States. So those are the dates. San Francisco is coming up really rapidly, so if people are interested, I really need to hear from you. And you can reach me at info@SyrianRevelations.net.
Okay, not. Some people are going to be going, what? So if you would mind, spell Syrian and then spell Revelation.
Okay, well, maybe your producer can edit it into the conversation.
So that everyone can see.
I will send it to you rather than try to spell it out. But it's info@SyrianRevelations. And I'll give you another, when we do that, I'll give you other information directly so that people can talk to my coordinator in San Francisco.
My thinking too is this is, as you say, rapidly approaching, and it's Mother's Day, so it might be a really great gift for someone who's not yet thought about what do they want to do for mom, and how about doing something that's kind of different and unique that really could bring them closer together, because you figure anytime you affect the DNA, anytime you affect a person's individual energy, they tend to be more content. They tend to activate wonderful things in their life. Their life starts to shift. So, it's a really wonderful gift, don't you think, to be shared?
Absolutely, and I'm offering a 50% discount for people who bring their mothers, 50% for mom. So that's a nice, really makes it even easier to make that a wonderful Mother's Day gift. It's something that will last, I can say that. Much better than flowers or chocolate. This is an experience which is life-changing and consciousness opening. I really recommend it, honestly, not just because it's my workshop, but because we have so many incredible people come together, and these people usually strike awesome friendships across the world, and there's a bonding of soul reunion involved. It's a wonderful journey.
That's really lovely. Truly, I find that no matter where you go, if you have a facilitator such as yourself who is truly passionate about their work and truly interested in the growth of the individual, the growth of the spirit, that there is no way not to, like that double negative, there we go, but there is no way not to come out of it feeling, I'm going to say, more harmonious, feeling as if you've really made a difference in your world. And the connections that you make in those type of environments, as you say, can be worldwide. I've attended many seminars and programs myself and have friends, thankfully, across the world because of it. So this is a great opportunity for people to come in to meet you, as you said, because you're not here all that often. Is it, you said, about a decade since you've been to the States?
Yes, it is. Yes. More than.
So this is perfect for people to come out to meet you in person. I'm going to make an assumption here, but if they bring the emissary with them, you'll sign the book for them?
Oh, yeah. I would be really thrilled to do that. And, of course, we'll have all of my books on sale at the events as well. That's a lot of books to look around, but I hopefully will have at least a few copies of each.
Okay. What is the best website for people to learn more about you once our show is over today?
I have to actually consolidate my website. So I have 3 primary sites: patriciacorey.com, which needs updating, I'll admit it; SyrianRevelations.net, which is more focused on my earlier work, and that has to do with the channeled information from beings on the 6th dimension. So it's much more of a spiritual site. And then the emissary.net, which is new and brings forward updates on the emissary, the amazing reviews that are coming in, the endorsements that are there, and more of a schedule of where I'll be and what I'm doing to promote the emissary. Because I'm coming to the States, also doing a 5-city tour where I'll be on the media promoting the book. Very excited.
Sounds wonderful. Truly. It's funny because I meet different authors over time and over the years, and a lot of times they're like, yeah, I have to do a book tour. They don't seem excited about it. It's nice that you are excited to be coming in and to share. And I want to read, I actually have a little bit of paperwork here. There was a review that I had found that I just thought was so phenomenal. I was going to share. I'm cheating because I don't have my glasses on, so bear with me. Okay, here it is. The Emissary is a uniquely exciting adventure that captures the heart and soul of the reader. And this was from actor Beau Bridges, who is very active in high-profile ocean protection. There are a lot of folks that are connecting with your book who really have a hand on conservation. They have a hand on preservation. They want to teach and to share and to really help safeguard our planet. Tanya Roberts, who is also an actress and animal activist, said, simply brilliant, and I agree with her. But I thought people should know that this is not just a drop in the bucket type of book, or just it's a good book. It is something that I believe will leave an imprint on our planet. So the movement here is not, if you will, relegated to just one moment in time, and the fact that you have this trilogy that continues, I truly believe will stir people to be more active, and I really truly hope that they'll be more sensitive to what's going on in their environment as they see what takes place.
Thank you for that. I really do hope that the book touches people's souls and through the vehicle of fiction allows them to consider things that perhaps they would not want to listen to as far as let's say New Age material or spiritually oriented information. So the messages are there, but they are embedded in a story that is available to everyone without anyone having to judge whether or not they need to believe it or not. And in so doing, they can relax with it, and the message is still going to reach them, isn't it?
Right. And it's interesting because I mentioned before, as far as a parable, and I was thinking you're going to laugh, Who Moved My Cheese? Do you remember that one? From years ago?
Who ate my cheese?
The book?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's a very little book. It's about this mouse who has cheese and another mouse, and, if you will, all of the trials and tribulations that the one mouse goes through to learn about success, and how the other mouse tells him, you don't really have to do it, you should give up, this type of thing. And it's funny because there's such a vast lesson, and when I began reading The Emissary, I had that same sort of feeling. There are so many lessons to be learned within the book, and they come in a very gentle way. And as you said, anybody can read this and enjoy. I think too, again, I'm going to reiterate, anytime you do something that you have passion about, that you come from a heart-based direction, is going to make an impact. So I'm excited about this, and I'm also excited about the Crystal Skull that will be coming up in your next book. Now, you have a trilogy, and you gave us a little bit of a teaser as far as the next one with its Atlantean connection. Have you started thinking about your third book yet?
Oh, yes. Yes, this is, of course, a continuation. So the third book, if I tell you the title of it, I might very well give away the ending of the first book. So I'm not good at that.
Is there a way to kind of navigate around?
Well, let's just say that it gets more galactic as we go further along. Because two of the things that give me the most passion are the whales and dolphins, who I think are just the highest form of consciousness on this planet, and the idea that we have beings, we have the potential in our lifetimes to be connecting with beings from beyond. We may already be doing that. We may already have them on this planet, and this is a thread that I will always discuss and explore because I'm passionate about that as well. So that's my clue.
Okay. Funny is, I was going to actually go in that direction and you beat me to it. So I have to ask a question that I'm sure people are wondering. Since you feel that there are beings outside of this realm, and I feel the same way and know it to be true because of personal experiences, would you say that you've had any sort of personal connection with an entity that is not within our realm?
Oh yeah, I can boldly tell you that for many years now I've had connection with a committee of multidimensional presence, and that would be, it's confusing to some people, but I think that there are extra-dimensional beings and extraterrestrial beings, and I believe that they both exist. And I've been very fortunate to be bringing forward information that, in my experience or in my understanding, is coming from another dimension. That would be the sixth dimension, and these beings are identifying themselves to me as council of the the Syrian High Council, or Council of Sirius. And I've been working with them for 12 or 13 years, and they have brought forward some awesome information that has begun to manifest in our society now. So 12 or 13 years ago, I was talking about things that nobody had heard of yet. HARP, for example, chemtrails, things like this back in 1997, when I was bringing through that information, nobody knew about and nobody was talking about. and yet there's testimony to the fact that they came through and then because they're the books. So I think that more and more people are going to be able to do that as well, because it's just all about waves, radio waves, mind waves. It's all about electromagnetic energy.
Frequencies. I mean, truly, that's what it comes down to. And it's interesting because we have the Hicks who brought forth master teachers. We have the psychiatrist who did master teachers, just drew a blank. Brian Weiss, there we go. He has a couple of books out. But we're seeing more and more that it's not just a fabrication, but there are these, and I'm saying master teachers, whether they're interdimensional, whether they are extraterrestrial, doesn't really matter. It shows that we are more interconnected with each other than we ever imagined. So I want to thank you so much for being here with me this evening, and I'm very grateful that you were kind enough to do the whole Skype thing with all the craziness. Real quickly again, share your dates in California and your dates in Florida.
Alrighty, it's May 10 and 11 in San Francisco at the Sheraton Wharf Hotel, and that is the DNA Intensive. I'm also speaking at the San Francisco Library about galactic whale communications on the 13th. For people that are interested, they can still contact me for that, and that's a free event. And the DNA activation workshop in Miami is the 24th and the 25th. And I like to tell people, don't get high on the weekend. Come and get higher. And so I hope I'll see you there, and I'm going to see you somehow, right?
I'm going to connect while you're here because I have no plan to fly to Italy in the next couple of weeks. I'd love to, but we'll have to do that later. Again, Patricia, thanks so much for being on, and I'm going to do again what the producer hates me doing. Can you see the book? I'm not even going to make a dance. The Emissary. Be sure to take a look, get in touch with Patricia, attend the events, think about Mom. Great gift. Thanks so much for tuning in this evening. We'll see you again next week on the Halley Elise Show. Good night.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in.